Sakafet YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Let's cook with me from start to finish. Hello my darlings, it's so nice to have you back here in my kitchen for yet another amazing recipe. Today we're making my chicken roti and I'll show you how I make mine. Over here we've got some split peas. I gave it a good rinse and then I added a little bit of salt and curry powder to a pot. Let it boil for about 20 minutes and then once I squeeze the peas between my fingers and it crushes easily, I know it's cooked. Whilst it's cooking, I like to scoop off all of that excess foam. This is my own preference, you don't have to. But I find that it just helps for the peas to cook nicely and that foam doesn't stick onto it once it's done and you drain it off. So yes, my darlings, now that it's cooked, I like to go ahead and drain it off and then I like to place it on a paper towel just to drain off any excess moisture. So whilst my peas was cooling, I made some green seasoning. So using my food processor, I went in with some garlic cloves. I also went in with some red bell pepper. I like to add in some pimento peppers as well. They call it seasoning peppers. It gives so much flavor to the green seasoning. I'm also adding in some spring onions. Add as little or as much as you like. I also like to go in with my onions as well, my parsley, and I'm going to be using some oil to blend that up. I like to add red and white onion to this, some celery and some parsley too, and give that a good blend using the food processor. Okay, I love to add in some oil in mine to blend it up and it comes out looking so beautiful. Green seasoning all done. This is how it looks. So pretty. Now let's get seasoning our chicken. So I've got 2 whole chickens that I chopped up as small as possible, and I also added in some oil to it. Make sure to wash that well, okay? And I add in some salt, some all-purpose seasoning, some mixed herbs of course. I love to add in some black pepper, freshly cracked, and I also like to add in my curry powder. So I'm using a blend of Chief Betapac and some Baron's curry powder for maximum flavor. And yes, go ahead and give that a good mix. Now if you have lots of time, you can leave that overnight to marinate, but since I don't, I'm gonna give it a couple of hours and then we're gonna go ahead and cook it straight away. So to a pan, I went in with a generous amount of oil. I think this is about maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons, not too much oil. And then I allow that to get nice and hot as possible. Keep your heat on a low to medium heat. And then I go in with my seasoned chicken. This is 2 whole chickens, like I said. And it's a lot, but it will get the job done because whenever I make roti, it's something that everyone wants to come by and get some. So go ahead and just put your chicken in, cover it up for about 5 minutes before stirring it up. And yes, my darlings, this is how I like to cook the curry onto the chicken. Some people like to burn their curry powder and some don't, but honestly, however you make it, I just think you just do it how you like it, okay? So I didn't burn my curry today and I think this also came out so amazing. But yes, go ahead and mix that in. Put your heat on a medium to high heat. Mix it in, cover it up again. And we're gonna go ahead and load it up with green seasoning, and this is how I'm making mine today, okay? Cover it for another 5 minutes, and whilst it's cooking down, I like to go ahead and peel my potatoes. So I'm using 5 medium potatoes today and using my peeler to peel it, and then we're gonna wash it and chop it up and wash it again. And this is how I love to do my curry chicken roti. So once my potatoes were peeled, I went back in to check on my chicken. It's looking absolutely amazing. As you can see, it sprung up some juices, and this is what I like. I love that. And I'm gonna go ahead and then put in my green seasoning. I think I added so much green seasoning to this that, listen, this tasted so fresh, so nice. Like, it was just, honestly, it was just so full of flavor. And I love the fact that I did not add too much powdered seasonings in there. So all that fresh garlic and everything, instead of adding garlic powder, onion powder, the fact that I have the fresh one in there, you know this is so good, right? Give it a good mix and then go in with your chopped potatoes. And I like to add the potatoes on the top of the chicken. That way the potatoes can steam down with the chicken and the chicken can cook underneath. And I also like to add in some more seasonings like cracked black pepper and a little bit more mixed herbs, my thyme, scotch bonnet pepper. And this is how I love to do mine. Okay, so very simple to do. I also add in some water, about 2 cups of water in there, and cover it up, of course, and let it cook while we work on the Dahl Puri roti. So I've left the chicken to cook for about 35 to 40 minutes, and we're working on the Dahl Puri roti. I'm using my stand mixer today because I didn't want to do the dough by hand. Add about 4 cups of flour to a bowl with some salt and some baking powder. Go ahead and give it a good mix. I like to add a little bit of oil in there too. And I'm also gonna use some warm water to make the dough. 4 cups of flour to about 1.5 cups of water. You want to add it gradually until you have a nice soft dough. Once your dough is formed, you want to let it rest for at least half an hour before sectioning it into dough balls. So yes, my darlings, so simple. Make sure to check down below for all of the ingredients that I'm using as well. Whilst my dough is resting, I'm gonna go ahead and grind the peas so it's nice and dry, and I added some garlic cloves to the peas. Then I'm just gonna use my mini food processor. I've got the big one that I do the green seasoning in. I use this mini one to grind my peas in. So I actually have different gadgets for different things. But if you don't have that, there's actually so many other methods that you can use. But yes, darlings, go ahead and grind it. I'm gonna grind it into 2 batches. So the first batch, I'll add some garlic cloves to it as well, and then we're gonna grind it until it forms a nice powder. Then we're gonna transfer it to a bowl and repeat the same process for the second batch. Then we're gonna season it up. Okay, so it comes out looking so good. This mini food processor is such a lifesaver, and it just does the job so well. And look at that, guys, nice and powdery, perfect feeling. So to season my filling, I add a little pinch of salt. I also add in some all-purpose seasoning, and I also add in some parsley flakes and some cumin and garam masala. I also add just a little bit of turmeric powder, mix that in well, and then we're gonna set that to one side. Guys, this is just gonna be so tasty, and you can always taste the filling, adjust it to your own preference. At this point, my chicken, I'm checking on it because I think it's done, but I like to go ahead and just give it a good mix. You can go ahead and remove the thyme and the scotch bonnet pepper and mix that in well. And yes, my loves, the curry chicken is looking so good. I don't want the scotch bonnet pepper to burst, so I'm gonna remove it. And yes, my darlings, curry chicken is looking so good. Once I remove the scotch bonnet pepper and thyme, I'm going to add in some chopped carrots and I'll give it another 5 minutes. And yes, my darlings, this will be all done. This is looking so good. I did turn up the heat a little bit to dry up some of the liquid. I don't want it to have too much gravy, and as you know, clean up as you go along. That's so important. Yes, so now our dough is rested and it's good to go. Add a little sprinkle of flour on there, and then we're gonna section it into 8. I did feel like I should have sectioned it into about 10 because they were so big, but it's up to you. You can section it small or big, however you like. So cut it in half, you cut it in 4s, and cut that in 2 again, and you know you pretty much will have about 8 or 10. I think 10 is better. And yes, my darlings, so once it's all sectioned, roll it into some dough balls, and then I'll show you how I fill it up. So now that our dough balls have all been set, I like to take one of them and then just open up the dough balls till it's flat like that. Then go in with a spoon, and you can add about 2 to 3 scoops in there. Don't add too much because it will burst and you don't want it to burst, okay? So add some in and pack it in, and then you want to just close it up by pinching all of the sides together. And then you want to just roll it into a dough ball again. Make sure to flour the surface well so that it doesn't stick, because if it sticks then it bursts and it just creates a mess. Go ahead and roll all of it out, and then once I'm all done, I'll come back and show you how I roll it out flat. Once it was all rolled out, I did take one of them, opened it up gently, floured the surface well, and then I'm just going to roll it out using my rolling pin. Be very careful not to burst it, so go ahead and make sure you put enough flour on there. And yes, my darlings, this is looking so good. Honestly, this is looking so great. So roll it out as circular as possible. Sometimes I'm not able to roll it out into an actual circle shape, so it comes out in all shapes and sizes, but as long as the flavor is there, this is what you need, okay? This is how it's looking, and I'm gonna be using this pure butter ghee. Guys, can I tell you a story? I went to Lidl one day and I got one of this and I paid 59 pence for it, and when I realized that was the price, I think I took 10 of them. So I have so much in my cupboard. And yes, story ended. Over here I've got my tower, and this is just a cast iron pan that I cook my roti on. And yes, my darlings, put the heat on sort of like a low to medium heat. You want to just use a brush and, you know, oil it on the surface. Whilst my roti is cooking, I like to just, you know, roll out another one, so that way I always have one waiting. But yeah, I just like to go ahead and oil it it on both sides and then flip it. And some people like theirs to be white. I love when mine have these little specks of you know, not burnt, just the little brown specks on there. I just prefer it that way. And yes, my darlings, I love when it gets pillowy soft. See the way it's filling up with air. And yes, my darlings, this is so flavorful, and oh, I can't wait to dive in. So I'm gonna fry up all 8 of them, and then I will come back and show you the finished results. But look at that, so pillowy soft, so beautiful, and I'm sure you can smell it from wherever you are right now. So this is the roti all done. I wanted to show you how amazing it came out. Oh my goodness, looks so good, so fresh. And I'm gonna break into one of them to show you, because guys, this is so tasty and it smells so good. The filling inside as well. Whew. Guys, my kids love this so much. Like, they will devour this in one sitting. They don't even like it with anything. They will just eat it like that, and I just feel like it's never enough. So I'm gonna work on a little salad. I went to Antigua a couple years ago, and this salad is inspired by the salad they served the roti with at the hotel that I stayed at, and I've just been in love ever since. So it's actually a mix of carrots and red and white cabbage and some lettuce and sweet corn. So once I've peeled everything, I like to grate my carrots, chop up my cabbage, and you know, just pretty much add everything in there. But again, everything will be down in the description box, so you can pretty much just see what I'm doing. I'm using the peeler to shred my cabbage. You guys, if you've been on my channel for a while, you'll know that I love the thin strips that the peeler creates, and some black pepper and a little honey, and I just kept this as a fresh salad. You can definitely add mayo if you want to. Again, check the description box for everything that I used. So this is everything all done. The roti is done, the salad is done, the curry chicken cooked in about an hour, and oh my goodness, it was so delicious. Gonna go ahead and plate it up. And usually in the Caribbean we serve our roti wrapped up in a foil, but I didn't want to do that today, so I actually plated it a different way. Yes, my darlings, this is the finished plate. It looks so good, so delicious. Oh my goodness, I can't wait for you guys to try. Thank you so much for watching and rocking with me, and I can't wait to see you in my next cook with me.